Good morning, everyone. I wanted to share something with you. I just started reading something and it brought back what I've always thought. And I'm pretty sure there's probably a lot of people out there who have thought that as well. I myself personally have always in the back of my head, I would think sometimes, who knows, maybe I still think like that sometimes now, but now, after doing more homework, it's like I noticed when you follow God, when you walk with Christ, you can't stop doing your homework, and I don't think He minds that you do your homework to know more about Him, to know more about what it is to follow Him, to understand and answer questions that you've had inside your head, whether you followed Him or not. You know? And I guess with all things, you should always do your homework, especially when you have other people out there telling you this and telling you that, and you want to make sure that it's true what they're saying. So you do your homework, you do your research. So for me personally, I've always had in the back of my head, if God doesn't want us to worship other gods, to give them praise, then does that mean that then because it's wrong, so why does He expect it out of us? And then I started thinking, yeah, I guess when you put it down simply, why is God jealous? Isn't jealous a sin? Why does He come off as if He's narcissistic? Because he says don't worship no other God, and it almost sounds like if God is boasting about Himself. When you read the Bible, He's talking about Himself, and He says this about Himself and that about Himself, and then you start thinking, so what makes Him different than any other God? Because that's how other gods are, where they're very narcissistic, and they want you to give them all the praise and everything like that. I don't know why I always thought that, and I knew at the same time I was wrong, but I would always tell God, God forgive me. He said, I'm just curious. I have questions. I know we shouldn't question you, but I just want to understand you better. And I knew that sooner or later, I knew that it would be answered, my questions. That's why, there was always still something in my heart and my soul to follow God, even if I had these things. Now, I know that's the enemy too, child. I know that is the devil also putting stuff in your head. So I guess now that I think about it, I guess it's worth doing the homework so that you can shut the devil up with truth. So I bought a book recently, right? To help me along, with understanding God as I also read the Bible. And I noticed is also, I'm seeing that, and I need to do this more often. Even my brother suggested this. My big brother, he suggested whenever you read the Bible and you see certain words, look up the Hebrew meaning for it, the Greek meaning for it, because it's even more profound. And it helps you to understand the Bible, to read the Bible, what this word means and this word means. And it always actually ends up being profound. Even when I see people on YouTube videos and Instagram talking about God, and when they read the Bible, they look up this certain word and they share it with you that day, and they'll be like, look, I read this word in the Bible and I wanted to know what it meant. And I looked up the Greek definition for it and the Hebrew definition for it, and isn't this amazing? And then they tell you what it is. And then it kind of like almost helps you understand how to live your life with Jesus when you're reading the Bible. So I got to do that more often. But what I decided to do, I was like, okay, let me start somewhere. So I got this book. This book is by Paul Copan. And I got it from a guy who does a seminar on YouTube, talking about the existence of God to students. And he welcomes students to ask him questions or whatever. And he knows he's going to also deal with atheists. Okay? So he recommended this book. He said, I recommend you get this book by Paul Copan, C-O-P-A-N. And the book is called Is God a Moral Monster? Making Sense of the Old Testament God. So it's a good book. He mentions atheists. He even mentions what they say, the things that they believe in, or even without proof or whatever. And then he challenges that, and he tells you the basic understanding of Christianity and God. So then I finally got up to the chapter, which was 3, and it's called Great Appetite for Praise and Sacrifices. So he says here, humility is a misunderstood virtue. The country singer Mac Davis boldly sang that it was hard to be humble since he was perfect in every way. I grew up hearing lines such as humble and proud of it, or have you read my book? Humility and how I attained it. We immediately detect something wrong with this picture. Yet the new atheists wonder how God, who is so, God-centered, can't also be accused of narcissism and vanity. According to Richard Dawkins, God is obsessed with his own superiority over rival gods. The God of the Bible seems to seek attention and crave praise, an altogether unflattering characteristic. He is out to make a name for himself. He delivers his people from Egypt for the sake of his name. So, does God have an unhealthy self-preoccupation? Do our atheist friends have a point? Not on this one. On closer inspection, God turns out to be a humble, self-giving, other-centered being. So then I started reading, right? And then I got to this point right here, which is helping me ask my question that I always had in the back of my head. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys also too had that in your back of your head. Hopefully this will help you out because it's helping me out. Hold on, let me wait for the plane to pass because the devil doesn't like it when I talk about Jesus. Okay. So as I'm reading that chapter, I came upon a part, because in the chapter there's paragraphs, a couple of paragraphs, and each of those couple of paragraphs have a title. So then I came upon the title, Seeking Praise, ? So then here we go. We get rather disgusted when a person is constantly fishing for compliments, don't we? Why then does God do this? Why all the praise seeking? Actually, in the Bible, God isn't the one commanding us to praise him. And I have been noticing that. Interesting. Typically, fellow creatures are spontaneously calling on one another to do so, to recognize God's greatness and worth-ship. Praise naturally flows from and completes the creature's enjoyment of God. Let me wait because the plane is passing again. God is self-sufficient and content in and of himself. He doesn't need frail humans for some sort of ego boost. As Psalms chapter 50, verse 12 reminds us, if I, God, were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine and all it contains. C.S. Lewis had his own misconceptions about this notion of praise and wrote of the lesson he learned. And this is what C.S. Lewis said. But the most obvious fact about praise, whether of God or anything, strangely escaped me. I thought of it in terms of compliment, approval, or the giving of honor. I had never known. Hold on, another plane is coming. I can tell. Ooh. When something is the truth and coming out of me naturally, all of a sudden there happens to be a day where all of a sudden planes like crazy start flying by. And I just sometimes laugh and say, oh, that's Satan. Okay. But the most obvious fact about praise, whether of God or anything, strangely escaped me. I thought of it in terms of compliment, approval, or the giving of honor. I had never noticed that all enjoyment spontaneously overflows into praise. The world rings with praise. Lovers praising their mistresses, readers their favorite poet, walkers praising the countryside, players praising their game. I think we delight to praise what we enjoy because the praise not merely expresses but completes the enjoyment. It is appointed consummation. I never thought about it like that. That's kick out. Forgive me, God. That kicks booty. Okay. C.S. Lewis realized that praise stems from doing what one can't help doing, giving utterance to what we regard as supremely valuable. It is good to sing praises to our God. Why? For it is pleasant, and praise is becoming and praise is becoming. And I guess he put here right here Psalms chapter 147:1 to look that up. Another related point. When we creatures truly show love for God, it's not because of a crass desire for rewards or to avoid punishment, even though some of us, do that and we try to get points with God. The sheer enjoyment of God's presence, the greatest good of humans, and his approval of us are reward enough. Once again, Lewis has offered a delightful picture. This is what C.S. Lewis says. Money is not the natural reward of love. That is why we call a man mercenary if he marries a woman for the sake of her money. But marriage is the proper reward for a real lover, and he is not mercenary for desiring it. Those who have attained everlasting life in the vision of God know very well that it is no mere bribe, but the very consummation of their earthly discipleship. Ain't that nice? That is so beautiful. Okay, that is helping me out. That answers my question. And yeah, pretty cool. So anyway, guys, just wanted to share that with you guys. That was what was always going on through my head, and hopefully, well, I know now it's going to help me out. Yeah, I just got to keep on remembering them. And it makes sense, and it is true. Not all the time do you literally hear the words of God saying, praise me, praise me, praise me. It's really us. It's really our own people telling us to praise God, to give him glory because he did this and he died because he's awesome. So we're recognizing God's awesomeness, and it's just become a habit that we have done it with ourselves, with our children, with our family, down the line, all the way till now, where this is our way of just showing appreciation to God and the fulfillment of the joy that we receive from him. So that's part of the joy that we share about God. So we recognize him and give him credit, and that is praise. So anyway, God bless you guys, okay? And have a beautiful day. Bye.